Welcome to the December 11th Planning Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Cable Access. There may be some people who will Zoom in this evening. I'm not sure if there will be, but in case there are, you'll hear them as well. We'll begin our meeting. Manager's report?
The first item's board reorganization.
Oh, I'm sorry, board reorganization. I apologize, I missed that. So, as everybody on the board is aware, and the planning staff, Tracy Vasili has left our board, and Tom, who was our alternative member, has been brought in to be a full-time member. So he will now sit in all meetings all the time until the springtime when there'll be an election, and we'll see where that goes. Hopefully he'll remain. Anything else? Very good.
So next up is the
No.
Oh.
No,
Tracy was the clerk.
right. Oh, I apologize.
This is why we're voting to reorganize, so we need a new clerk.
I nominate Thomas. What? You're in the seat, so you might as well keep the position.
Too green for that.
No, you've been around for a few years. Yes.
I'll second that nomination.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Tom.
stepping forward.
Thank you, Tom.
Great. Planner's report?
So one of the items on the planner's report involves the bike path. So I did ask John Mahoney, who's here tonight, to speak to that himself. He wanted to speak to the planning board about an alternate funding request that he has on the docket. Just to give you some background from my angle, we were turned down for a Mass Trails grant this past round, and when I followed up with them, I had a really good conversation with the head of the program. She said that it wasn't because of a lack of merit to the project itself. It's mainly because they want to coordinate among all the agencies. If they were to approve us even for a feasibility study, it would give a tacit kind of endorsement of the project that they didn't necessarily want to do without having the full backing of the MBTA, DCR, all the different state agencies that would have to touch this thing if it's going near a railroad track and going through some conservation land that's owned by the state. So I'm supposed to be getting an update from them shortly on how a meeting went to discuss this project specifically at the state level and coordinate. I did speak to MAPC about potentially TAP funding for the project. They said that they lack the expertise and the specialization to do the kinds of engineering work that we need to be done at this stage. So though they've committed themselves to being strong advocates for the project, the TAP funding is not a good path to go down for this. So that's where we are with funding. The next round of Mass Trails is due in early February. I think it's the 2nd or the 3rd is the date to get that application in to resubmit. So we should know a little bit more about the MBTAs and MassDOTs and anybody else's concerns about the project by then. So just so you have that background information, that's where we sit from my office's perspective. But John Mahoney also asked to speak to you on this project, so I'd like to allow him to speak early to respect his time.
Good. Welcome.
Hi, John Mahoney, resident of Foxborough.
I'm Jack Martin, Summer Street, Foxborough. I recognize most of you.
So I don't know if you had the opportunity or the chance, did you see the handout from Catherine with the proposed warrant article? What I'm asking you to do is to adopt and introduce a warrant article into the next annual town meeting to support a study on possible bike path, specifically going from Mansfield Center, where there's the existing World War II bike path, which also extends into Norton, and Taunton is planning to extend into as well, into Foxboro Center, basically in this general area. I know a lot of you have been involved with the town for quite some time, and you might have seen me back in 2024 introduce a measure to do a full-length study, which would have gone Mansfield Center, Foxboro Center, through Patriot Place, Gillette Stadium, and into Walpole if there's a pedestrian bridge built, because in Walpole, there is a 8-town trail going from Norwood through Norfolk, Rentham, Plainville, the Attleborough into Rhode Island, which is in various stages of planning. Norfolk and Rentham have both completed their study and completed their engineering, and now are in the place where they're looking to actually build the construction once they come up with the funds to do that. So I think it would be very beneficial for Foxborough to not miss out on an amenity that basically all the towns around us are going to have. In the 2024 vote, I think I have the very unfortunate luck of going directly before the MBTA Community Vote Act, and I think out of the 400 people in that room that night, almost 95% of them were there to vote no on something. So when
You were it.
and even though that was the case, there was a hand count vote, which doesn't happen too often. It was close, and I think the objections I heard were, if this is something that would tie into the stadium area, that the town should not be the one to pay for it. I think if we take an approach of, let's get us into an existing trail in Mansfield, Foxborough to Mansfield, I think the concerns that people brought up in the town meeting aren't going to be the same. If you guys adopt this, what we have is, as opposed to a citizen petition, which I'm considering, is you have the ability to change the language up until a very short time period before the town meeting. If there's adjustments that need to be made, either that make more sense, or if Frank Splain or Bob Cutler comes out and says, you didn't put this period where there should be a comma, this is a defunct, we can't put this forward in front of the town, it dies there. And if you look back, the reason I'm asking you guys to do this, even though we're having different funding sources, this has been on the town's agenda since the last master plan, which is now being refreshed, 10 years old. We had a lot of things in the master plan which happened. A better uptown, better commercial, no casino was one of the big things in there, and kind of the only thing that didn't happen was some type of more connectivity in the town, recreation. And if we do get these funds from the state, we wouldn't need to use the town's funds. It could go back into free cash. But if for some reason we don't get funded, it's just another year waiting to figure out if we can do this or not. And one thing that Catherine didn't let you know is the last 3 years prior to this year, the Mass Trails Grant was funding between 10 to 14 million a year, and they cut it down to, I think, 7. So it wasn't just that Foxborough didn't get the money, it was the whole program was a lot more limited, but, by like 30-40% compared to prior years. So even if we have a very good program, I don't know if there's state funds available or not.
So in the language in here, it says this, I'll just read it. It says to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate and/or transfer from available funds a sum to be used to conduct a study to investigate and report on the possibility of extending a shared use trail from Foxborough Center to the border of Mansfield and potential to link to the existing World War II Veterans Trail in Mansfield, and that a reasonable construction timeline and estimated cost shall be provided to accomplish the connection. Further, that the Select Board shall appoint a personnel to take any other actions in furtherance of conducting this study. Should the town receive other funds to accomplish this above item from other public or private sources during the fiscal year, the sum voted on by town meeting is to return to free cash. So, under that third paragraph where it says a reasonable construction timeline and estimated cost will be provided, are you without having a number, how do we accomplish that?
So there is, I think, two sources that we can turn to. One is the Mass Trails Grant. They also do construction. Second, Congressman Auchincloss has sponsored several of these projects in the district, including in Taunton and North Attleboro.
So it's federal money that was given to them?
I believe so, yeah. I believe both those projects were put in as an earmark in one of the bills that he sprinkles money here and there, and that's some of the money that he sprinkled. So he's interested in the water projects and transportation projects in our district.
And what were the two towns again, I'm sorry?
I believe it was North Attleboro and either Taunton or Fall River, but I can double check. I'll email that to Catherine to forward to you guys.
All right.
But I don't think, excuse me, I don't think you can you can request to raise and appropriate money without a number. I think you have to have a,
That's correct. So the logistics of a warrant article is when it's initially put in, you don't have to give a figure until right before the town meeting. And the reason that is that in my time doing this and being on the advisory committee, is if we were to put a number in today, we're going to get stuck with that number. So whether it's, buying a police cruiser or, I think Chris is familiar with this as well. Anytime the town is asking the citizens to vote on a figure, the figure is not presented or provided until right before town meeting. So my guess would be, and based on previous research I did, based on looking at all the trails, basically, I looked at all the trails done in the last 5 to 10 years in eastern Massachusetts. My figure at the 2024 town meeting was $100,000 to go from basically through the whole town. So I think $50,000 would be the reasonable amount for this, to go Mansfield to Foxborough. And that's based on discussions with Paige, Catherine, looking at Cape Cod Rail Trail, South Coast Rail Trail, the trails in Metro West and north of Boston.
but you don't want to finalize that number till you get closer to town meeting. Okay.
I think 50,000 would be the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the kind of language that I think would allow this to happen. And of course, if you, as a board, think there's better language to accomplish this goal, we can do that, yeah.
I'd like to see a dollar amount with a contingency if you could do that. We do that with a lot of the developers on projects where there's a fixed cost to do the project, and then you figure that over a year or 2 years' time, there's a 10 or 20% delta.
If it goes in as a citizen's petition, that number is cast and can't be changed. If it goes in from the board, you can change it.
Okay.
And so that's part of the reason for leaving it the way it is for the time being.
Okay.
Catherine, you had said that the Mass Trails deadline for application is early February, but when do
Yes.
those awards come, at the fiscal year?
That's a really good question. Last year, they had us waiting for 7 months, I want to say, and that was mainly due to internal staffing issues. They lost the one person that did all the mass trails, and they had to divide the work, and it just took forever. Usually, you hear back within about 3 months. So, I mean,
You would know before, under normal circumstances.
hopefully we would know before town meeting, but it's hard to say because we have new staff now starting in that program.
This town, I think, has the expertise to do this, and it's been kind of part of different plans for quite some time. I think it just comes down to a little bit of money to see, can we do this or not? Ryan Norton, the GIS coordinator for the town, has looked through the maps, and he thinks there's several different ways we could accomplish this, but without a real expert who knows this stuff, is it physically or legally possible? We don't know yet.
So, I mean, I remember you making your pitch at that town meeting, but I can't really recall if anybody came to the microphone and questioned you about the specifics, and if they did, if you could refresh our memory and just say, here's what their arguments were. I mean, I know what you said about the negative thing about another article that had a lot of people there for that, but I'm hoping you can enlighten us a little bit.
So I'd say there were maybe 2 or 3 people who spoke. One is a person who's any issue that has to do with anything in the stadium, and I think it's a general opinion throughout Foxborough, if there's something stadium-related, any cost, any expertise, any time spent should not come from the town.
Okay.
I think there was maybe one person who had general opposition to the idea of this form of recreation.
Okay.
Well, John, I would think that probably everyone here would be in supportive of this concept. I would just like to avoid a possibility that if the town was going to go ahead and provide funds for this part of the planning process, then I'd hate to see an agency say, well, Foxborough's ponying up now, we can we don't have to, we've got a lot of competition for these applications, and we don't want to do it. So let's just see, you know, you're going to
I
be
think,
talking to
I think if
them.
anything, it would help us. There is a requirement of match, but that match can be in kind. When I submitted the application in the last cycle, and they told me really they didn't have any specific changes that they wanted me to make, which means that basically I could submit the same thing and it's fine. We had a total budget of $150,000 for that piece, and that's the entirety connecting up in Walpole to their trail as well as down in Mansfield. So it includes Foxborough as well as a couple other communities. One thing I will say is that the piece that is specifically here between the center of town to the border with Mansfield, that's one of the more challenging pieces to find a pathway, because there's a lot more divided ownership of the property in the southern portion. You have some big landowners such as Schneider Electric or whoever takes it on. That's a big chunk of where the trail might go. The Kraft Group is another big landowner to the north. Now there are some engineering challenges there, like crossing rivers next to train tracks and things like that, right? And that's not going to be easy. But this piece is the more challenging piece when it comes to finding an appropriate trajectory for the trail. So I think that, you know, I would say probably I would be a little bit more conservative and say like probably 75,000-ish, something like that for this piece of it. But regardless of how it goes, it could serve as a match to the greater project if it is approved. And we can tell them that it's going to be on the agenda, but it's not yet committed funding in the application, and that ought to make it look better, to be honest.
Okay.
And I'll note, it's a little bit funny, but to connect into Walpole, if that multi-million-dollar pedestrian bridge was built, it would be super easy. It would be the easiest part, but, you know, of course, you need that million-dollar bridge first, so.
All right.
Yeah, failing that, there are still options. You know, for example, the underpass at Rodman is one possibility. So it's just that's looking at the barriers downstream. Right now, we're looking at the part next to Mansfield. Mansfield also has their challenges to go from where they end to the town line. That's why before land gets divided even further, we take initial action.
And I'd just like to let the board know that the citizen petition deadline is very early next year, so if you want to adopt this, it's either I need to act within the next month or two, or wait for you. Thank you.
What is that deadline?
It's February, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the first week of February. So if you figure, you know, Christmas and New Year's, it's got to get done in January.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
So there are just a few more items. I do want to make clear, because I did send a lot of regulatory draft language your way. We had a conversation, a couple of us, before this meeting started about that. Timeline-wise, I don't envision having the solar and battery energy storage regulations on annual town meeting. If the state finalizes their guidelines so we know exactly what the parameters are before town meeting, then yes, we'll go ahead and throw it on there. And I have it as a placeholder right now. But I really envision that being taken to town meeting in the fall if we have a special town meeting. And then the special residential bylaw updates, those are much more complicated, and I'd feel a little bit better seeing what they look like as they're put together. So I'll probably be requesting some engineering assistance on that, just to make sure that what's written allows for the typology that we're looking for in certain areas, and doesn't allow for things that we don't want to see necessarily. So that probably won't be taken before town meeting until next spring. Neponset Avenue, Chairman, would you like to give an update on that, since I was not present at the last meeting?
Sure. I mean, we actually had a very good meeting. Mr. Buckley was there along with other members of the committee. We looked at a new iteration based on the plan that was submitted originally by Schneider to the town to give consideration to. And Barney was there as well, representing the zoning issues. I think we feel pretty good about where we're headed with this, and that there will be room shortly to have a couple more meetings, and then we'll probably be ready to present it to the general public and people in the neighborhood and get input from them as well. And Mr. Buckley's here if he wants to say anything further about any of this, he's welcome to.
The meeting next week, we've invited a local developer in to come talk to us.
Yes.
Just give us his thoughts. Doug King.
Doug King, you know, and the reason we're going to be speaking to him, because he has a lot of experience with sizable residential and other types of development. A lot of them were in the town of Norton, but some of them have also been here. He was certainly very involved in the CPOD subdivision and land beyond that on the other side of the road there for single-family housing as well. So we're not inviting him in to say, are you interested in doing this project? We're interested in hearing his perspective on having developed things of this size and nature before, how feasible he thinks it would be. Mm-hmm. And, you know, whether the type of zoning that Barney's proposing is something that the development community could find feasible.
Great. So next up, just a couple of updates on other grant projects. Our Mass Gaming Commission funding that we receive from them to support a tourism effort in Foxborough, Plainville, and Rentham. We did a big ad buy this autumn, making sure that we were blasting, you know, radio, television, and print media. We did a number of ads across a number of markets, and it's apparently been quite successful because people have been telling us just organically that they've been seeing the ads, and we've had a lot of random calls from people, including somebody in Canada asking about us, so that was interesting. So we're going to be doing another big ad buy with that grant funding in spring before the World Cup as a way to try to leverage some of the visitors coming here that may not know much about our region, to not just focus on the big three in Plainville you have the casino, Rentham you have the outlets, here you have Gillette. So we're hoping that we can make people who are visiting our region for the first time aware of some of the small businesses that they might want to support here as well. So that's the hope. Another grant that we received that it was a very informal process, so I don't even know if I formally made you aware of it yet, but we got a technical assistance grant through Mass Housing. No money changes hands. I love those grants. And they're working with Gabby and myself to establish a system to manage our subsidized housing inventory, which is always very daunting every year. We look at it and we're like, oh my goodness, how do we even wrap our brains around this? So we have a specialist in working with the state on those types of projects to help us to develop a process to do it internally, since it falls to our department, unfortunately. Other than that, we did get a Phase 1 assessment received on 131 Moore Street. It's a very expensive cleanup project. They estimate over $1.7 million will be necessary to clean that site up for future use, depending, of course, on what the end use might be. We did get a release from the entertainment restriction from the state government on the State Hospital Auditorium. So the town manager's office is working on an RFP for that property, which will be great. And I am trying to design and launch a facade and signage improvement program with a state budget earmark that we received this fiscal year. Procurement is just kind of hairy with that because it's apples to oranges. You don't know what kinds of signs people are going to be requesting. I've done this kind of program in the past, and you can either do a sign that's illuminated or not illuminated, and there are multiple different kinds of media, and you kind of want to allow small businesses to have a little bit of flexibility and choice in the kinds of sign that they want for their business. So when you're trying to procure a consultant for something like that, it's really hard to design the procurement guidelines. But that's what I'm trying to get done by the end of the year, and then we'll release some program design like for the small business end of things early next year. And I think that's it for what's going on right now. World Cup is just a mess. You can read through that if you want to, but nothing big or exciting coming up there. There are a couple things that will be coming through you on their way to town meeting. I did make a couple of draft revisions to the design review district language, because last year some items came up where the building inspector did not believe that he had the authority to enforce recommendations made by that body. After bringing our town council into it, yes, he said there is no way to enforce recommendations unless they flow through another body. So we wrote it in that if the building commissioner believes that changes within that footprint of the design review district rise to the level that design review board oversight is merited, then that project will also be required to go through the site plan review process. That way, there's a document coming from you all. You can either confirm or reject as the project's circumstances are apparent to you, whatever recommendations they have, but then through your sign off on the project, the building commissioner then has the ability to enforce design review board standards. The other minor change that we're making there is that the language as it stands is non-residential and multifamily residential, and the design review board itself had some comments about potentially including duplexes in that. They understood it to mean duplexes, and there's been a lot of duplex activity within the district. But we had to fall back to the building code, which says that multifamily is 3+ units. So the other change that I have in draft is to include duplexes among the items that are subject to the design review board's oversight. So I did give those to Barney to make sure that the language was snappier than whatever I wrote, but that'll be flowing through you. Senior housing regulations, I'm still working through that. I'm trying to get some help, so I'm hoping that another grant opportunity comes up so that I can, get you guys some more sophisticated language. But it probably won't be ready for annual town meeting. This is, again, something that I think will take a year to work through and to listen to people about that one. So I'm sorry, that was a lot, but it's been a while since I've seen you guys, and there's a lot going on. So that's it.
All right. Good, thank you for your help. Okay, we've already spoken to Mr. Mahoney. There's an A&R for Lamson Road, Water Department property. Evening, Mr. Gallagher, how are you?
All right, so just for anybody who's watching at home and ease of use here, my name's Chris Gallagher. Let's see. There we go. I'm the Director of Public Works, here with an A&R plan. This kind of goes back a couple of years. We have a 60-acre parcel of Water Department property down on Oak Street and Lamson Road. This highlighted yellow area here. So here's Oak Street, and then Lamson Road comes straight through. The intent of this is to take that 60-acre parcel and divide out parcel A, which is 4 back in 2020, 2021. This is part of our permitting to build and operate our Oak Street treatment plant. And because we're adding in PFAS treatment plant down there, we're back in their midst to kind of finalize this permit that should have been finalized several years ago. So parcel A will get divided out. It will stay in Water Department as Water Department property. It will not get transferred over to Conservation Commission. When water supply land needs to get separated or transferred to a different entity, DEP gets involved. It's a very cumbersome process to make that happen. Part of our permit with Division of Fish and Wildlife, we have to create 13.4 acres of habitat area. We can do all of that on map 47, parcel 87. This is this 30-acre parcel adjacent to it. So we don't need to transfer this 4.1 acre parcel. However, there is it's going to get pulled into the permit. There is some habitat area that exists on that parcel now, which is why we were trying to divide it out a few years ago. So this parcel A will get wrapped into that permit with the state. It just won't have the restrictions that the other 30-acre parcel does. So it's non-buildable. There's no frontage. It stays water department property, so it's not transferring ownership. So we're here with an A&R for that purpose.
So parcel 48, is that where the new treatment plant's going to be?
Yes. So that parcel, that treatment plant is down at the end of Lamson Road, on, I guess, the west side of
Yeah.
Lamson Road. This parcel is way up here, closer to Gavin's Pond. It'll actually abut Gavin's Pond on the Sharon Town line.
So even though conservation won't take title, for lack of better language, to that parcel, are they still the ones who are responsible for making sure the habitat remains sustainable or whatever?
So that permit is written to the town of Foxborough. The water department we actually will be putting funding aside in an escrow account. That's one of the requirements, so that the initial creation of the habitat area, the 13 acres, gets established, and then they want 3 years of funding set aside to make sure that we're maintaining that over those first initial years, and then it maintains water department responsibility to mow it annually. Occasionally, we may end up doing a prescribed burn down there if we can find the right person. The indigo plant that these frosted elephant butterflies thrive on actually do well when the land is disturbed. So it kills the invasive species, and it makes the indigo plant just kind of thrive. We're putting that plan together now. We're trying to finalize all our permits with the state. I have Conservation Commission on Monday night and the Select Board on Tuesday night for that 30-acre parcel transfer, because that was also missed a few years ago when the town voted to do that.
Any questions from the board?
Just to clarify, so is water department going to be responsible for the maintenance, such as it is, of the entire habitat area, or only that parcel?
The entire 13, so it'll be 13.4 acres on the conservation property, and then there's about an acre and a half on this parcel A that we're creating. So the reason to split it is so that in the permit's only identifying this 4.1 acre parcel instead of the entire 60-acre parcel, trying to limit what the Division of Fish and Wildlife has their hands wrapped around.
Got it.
Sorta.
So you need a motion?
I think we do.
How about it, Tom? What?
I'd make a motion that the board approve and board grant approval not required status to this water department property, specifically parcel A, consisting of 4.1 acres, and that it remain non-buildable and non-conforming.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None.
Thank you. We have the plan on the table, so before you leave, if you could sign it.
Okay. Next on here is a request for a bond reduction for Eisenhower Lane.
Sorry, that's me. We've received a request. You have a memo in your packet. We've received a request for the reduction of the bond for Eisenhower Lane, Rich Road subdivision. There's a bunch of completed work, and they're requesting some of the funds back. The estimate that was submitted was reviewed by DPW, and we've come up with the new amount. So the new bond amount would be $87,050. The reduction amount would be $117,840.
And everybody who's of consequence is satisfied with
Yes.
not just the money, but the level of construction that was necessary and the
Yes,
reduction?
yes, yeah, that, and that's the main reason why we are working on these amounts with DPW, because they're the ones that are doing all the inspections on the sites. So, yes.
Okay, well, any other questions by anyone on the board? I'll make a motion that we do the reduction amount of $117,840, leaving a new bond amount of $87,050.
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We didn't do active subdivisions.
Well, let's go through them.
We also have a request to set a bond and release of lots for Bodie Lane. This is a Maple Crest Farm subdivision off of on North Street. We received a construction estimate from Bay Colony Group, and again, consulting with DPW staff, we've come up with the amount, adding the 20% contingency, requesting that the board set an amount for Bodie Lane at $357,278. That's the full bond for the subdivision.
Do I hear a motion?
I'd move the board approve a bond amount for the Maple Crest Farm Division, Bodie Lane off of North Street, in the amount of $1,278, which consists of a construction estimate of $297,732 and a 20% contingency on top of it.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's also a request to release the bond, the lots, I'm sorry, on the subdivision.
Same one?
Yes, for the same one. It's lots 1 through 6. This would be all of the lots in the subdivision. As per our subdivision regulations, the board is able to do that if the developer submits a bond to be held until the street is accepted. So this is a separate cash bond from the performance guarantee that you just voted on. The developer, Mr. Traiani, has submitted such a check for the correct amount, and I'm holding that check until the board votes on this.
And what is that amount?
I think it's $5,600. It's because the linear feet of the subdivision has to do with that amount. So it's a vehicle for the developer to have the lots. They are submitting a bond for the whole subdivision. So we will have the money. So
When's the last time we did that?
2 months ago.
Did we?
Yes.
Okay, I just didn't recall that. All right, any other questions or any
You said it was
concerns?
56?
Sorry.
You said it was 5,600?
5,600, yeah, you don't have to set the amount, you just need to vote for the release of the lots.
Oh, yeah.
Lots 1 through 6.
All right, I'll make a motion to release lots 1 through 6, Maple Crest Farm subdivision, Bodie Lane.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
Thank you. I have the form here for everybody to sign.
I'm gonna be here all night signing stuff.
There's one further one, the Abbey Lane one?
Yes.
Abbey Estates?
Abbey Estates, that's the next one.
Okay.
So we've received a request to set a bond amount for Abbey Estates, which is the extension of Abbey Lane and Baldwin Way. Again, this was reviewed by DPW, and with the contingency, the amount that we are requesting that the board vote on would be to set the bond as $340,914.
So just refresh my memory, where's Abbey Lane again?
It's off of Windsor Drive. It's at, originally it was at the rear portion of 206 East Street. So it's next to Pioneer Estates.
And
There's also 6 lots in the subdivision.
they're requesting them to be released as well?
Yes, they will be. Yes.
Any questions from anybody on the board? Do I hear a motion?
I'd move that the board approve bond amount for Abbey Estates, specifically Abbey Lane Extension and Terry Baldwin Way, in the amount of $340,914, of which $284,095 are the construction estimate, and an additional 20% on top of that is contingency, and that specifically would be for the performance guarantee for Abbey Estates.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none.
Are we voting lot releases tonight as well, Gabby?
Yes, I will. We have received a request for the release of the, of all the lots in the subdivision. Mr. Lombardi, who's present here, submitted a check this evening for the amount required for the cash bond.
Okay, I'll make a motion to release lots 1 through 6, excuse me, for, what was the?
Abbey Estates.
Abbey Estates,
Right.
GFC Terry L. Baldwin Way.
Right, 3 on Abbey Lane and 3 on Baldwin Way.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Here's the form for everybody too.
Very quickly on these, both of these subdivisions.
Right.
So, being sometime past 7:05 PM, we had a continued public hearing, site plan review, special permit, 0 East Belcher Road, map 108, parcel 1, contractor for J. Cook Realty LLC. The applicant has requested a continuance. How many times are we going to allow this continuance?
The zoning board, town council for the zoning board and town council for Mr. Cook have reached an agreement, but it has not yet been signed by the Cooks. That's what we're waiting for.
Okay.
So they've requested a continuance to January the 8th.
And that would be at 7:15.
Okay.
Okay, prior to voting for continuance on this, I would like to just voice my opinion that this is the final one.
I would agree. I mean, I know that there's been some open
Right.
questions or issues relative to possible registration of vehicles on the parcel and things of that nature, and that seems to be a sticking point. But I think we've, not just us, but the zoning board has allowed, this to go
Right.
along,
We've been
along
more-
with council, so it's not, but I agree with you. I mean,
Right.
it's
We've
been,
been more than amenable with trying to resolve this.
we have.
I
And so,
did.
and so was the zoning board. I
Yeah.
mean,
And I had a good conversation with Barney last week on this, and I'm sure you did as well, so. I think we're very close, but it's gotta stop. It's gotta stop, so.
okay, very good.
That being said, motion to continue the public hearing, site plan review 0 East Belcher Road to
January 8th,
January 8th at
7:15.
7:15.
Very good.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then it being
Oh.
some, what?
Yes, go ahead.
Go on. You have something you wanted to say?
No, go ahead. Sorry,
It's all right.
I was getting ahead of myself.
All right, so it's, we at sometime past 7:10 PM, we have a public hearing, site plan review, 67 Green Street, parking lot expansion and site improvements for Energy Electric Company Incorporated.
So the applicants are asking for a continuance. Sorry, and this is something that came up today. Unfortunately, looking at the plan, realized that the setbacks for the shown on the plans don't meet the requirements. So they are asking continuance so that they can redesign the plan so that they can meet the setbacks.
We have a date?
You want it on the 8th?
On the 8th, yes, sorry, yes.
Same day, January 8th?
Yes, January 8th, yep.
Do you have a time or no?
7:20.
Okay.
Well, I would make a motion that we continue, well, actually, we haven't opened it yet. It's just kind of a scheduling thing, really.
Yep.
right?
I think we can, Kevin just opened it, so yes, we can
Oh, you did?
continue it, yes.
Did you?
Yep.
I guess you did.
Second?
I make a motion that we continue public hearing for site plan review at 67 Green Street for parking lot expansion and site improvements. Applicant is Energy Electric Company, and we continue it to January 8th at 7:20 PM.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else?
The minutes from September.
Oh, that's right.
That's okay. Feel,
Oh,
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
very welcome.
I sent out minutes the other day. The last ones I did in September.
yeah, that was a long time ago.
I can't remember that far back.
Actually, I was trying hard to remember when I read them, but I have no issues with the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes for September 25th.
Is there a second?
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Short and sweet.
So you're ready, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? Do we have a second?
Have a second.
Okay.
Tracy,
Clerk, you're doing a heck of a
making the
job.
motion.
That's right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Remember this.